All right, so another partner showcase is upon us. I can almost guarantee that this one is going to be better than the last one we got. Was it shortly after the Switch 2's launch that didn't really have any of the stuff we thought that was going to be there? Then we learned was because a lot of the developers that we hoped would already have been working on Switch 2 ports or games probably didn't even have dev kits yet, which is lovely. And it's still, we don't know. Like, we don't know the full story on the dev kits. We don't know if everybody who wants one finally, or has a few of them, however many they need, finally has them. But it has been some time since the launch, and we have seen more and more ports that we were hoping to see, Switch 2 exclusive stuff. Since then, since launch, I don't think it's enough time to all of a sudden have this waterfall, but let's pretend. Let's pretend it is, and it has been, and we can at least see some announcements, right? Like, I don't think this is one of those scenarios like how they've been treating their directs and content recently, where they're like, we're going to show stuff coming out within the next 6 to 12 months, right? I don't think the partner showcases follows that strict rule set. Like, we could see stuff here that, like like with Elden Ring and Borderlands 4, games that were hyped up and showcased in Nintendo's official direct for the Switch 2, the reveal direct, that didn't actually meet you know, their release dates. Nintendo has actually been good about meeting theirs, with Prime 4 aside, right? And that little delay it got, like a month or something. But yeah, I'm gonna cover stuff that I'm sure is not gonna be here. But yeah, I wanted to do a predictions. Yeah, I wanted to do a little predictions showcase for what I hope will be there, even if I'm not really convinced they will be. But lay out the cards. You miss all the shots you don't take. So yeah, let's get started. We're gonna start off with known quantities, things that we have known about but don't have firm dates as of yet. And one of those is Mina the Hollower. This one currently has a goofy ass new release date of 2030, which is goofy because they were primed to release it in October. Like, it was all but guaranteed, but it's one of those things again where I'm like, I got my new rule, which is don't buy games that aren't available for sale. And if you bought a Switch 2 or a Switch in anticipation of also being able to play Mina the Hollower on it at the time that they said it was going to be out, well, you were screwed. You got screwed over on that front, because not only was it just surprisingly, pulled and delayed, like they don't even have the demo up anymore, which I still have. I still have it because I I downloaded it on my Switch and it's just still downloaded, but you can't actually. I don't know if you can re-download it, even if you like delete it but keep the icon. And I don't want to try because it is fun and I am looking forward to this. I don't know what everybody's feelings are on it, given it's such a big departure from Hollow Knight, or sorry, Shovel Knight. In terms of gameplay, it's no longer just a strict 2D platformer, it's a top down. But after playing the demo, I'm convinced it's really cool. And we are sort of seeing it. It's in the vein in terms of pixel art of Game Boy, not even Game Boy Advance really, but like the Game Boy. And we have seen a bit of a resurgence or a renaissance of games coming out that emulate the Game Boy's graphical styling and look and stuff, which is interesting because I think it was limited in ways that, the Game Boy Advance, for example, wasn't, and I prefer the pixel art and the density of Game Boy Advance games, but it doesn't, like, after playing the demo, it's not a hindrance. Like, it looks cool. It definitely looks of that time, but it plays great. And yeah, it would be nice. This one's tough because this is an indie game, first and foremost. Like, they straight up had to do, like, another Kickstarter campaign, I think, for it. But it is Yacht Club, like they are triple I when it comes to the sort of mind share and the word of mouth around them. So I think if there was going to be an indie game mentioned here, it would be Mina the Hollower. It's of that, it's of that caliber. But because of that, it could be relegated or saved for an Indie World Showcase instead. But again, I think there is some chance it could be here, and we finally do get a updated release date that hopefully becomes its true final release date. And then next would be Elden Ring, which was part of the initial Switch 2 reveal, to kind of emphasize, like, this is our Skyrim. This is the Skyrim for Switch 2, like the big third-party open world game that you wouldn't expect to see on a Nintendo console. It's here, baby. And it does showcase a generational leap. Like Elden Ring, given, I know some people think it doesn't look as good as it could or should or as some of the competition out there. Doesn't matter. Didn't matter when it came out. It won a bunch of Game of the Year awards because that's, at the end of the day, gameplay is king. Always has been. Always will be. But yeah, it showcased the generational leap compared to something like Skyrim for the Switch 1. And it thus was, a big announcement. And it's unfortunate that it didn't meet its initial release window. I don't think it ever really got a full release date, but it was supposed to be like winter, right? Or like holiday, something like that. But then it got showcased at a few public events and did not showcase well. The port was clearly not ready. Hopefully it's getting closer, or at the very least it's to a point where they can actually provide a firm or better release window, because currently it's still just, I think, 2026. But yeah, we know about Elden Ring. We still have no real good idea, though, what its new release window is. And hopefully we do find out. Another one that's actually really recent and got an unceremonious announcement was Fallout 4. Unfortunately, this anniversary edition doesn't seem to be all that much of a upgrade from the base game. Also, on other platforms that it's come out on already, it has introduced apparently some issues and bugs and like one or two steps backward in terms of some of the things that were already there. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure it's still Fallout 4, and if it's getting a little bit more preferential treatment for Switch 2, because it's going to need to, right? Like we all know, the Switch 2 is a generational leap from the Switch, but it's still underpowered compared to its current gen peers. It's probably going to receive a little bit more attention. Hopefully they iron out any of the kinks that were there at the launch of it initially. It's already out, this anniversary edition and stuff, and obviously Fallout 4. I think it's like, it's hitting up on its 10-year anniversary, or it already did for this. Maybe that's what it is, the 10-year anniversary edition, which is crazy to think about. Crazy. Just goes to show after Bethesda got bought, that it's the Angels baseball team, dilemma where it's like, we pay big money for these big names. There was that period where we were getting like Josh Hamilton and Pujols specifically, and they didn't really, perform to the same standard as they did previously when they were still hungry, right? They were still fighting for that, trying to prove themselves and get that big contract. Pujols already was doing all right with the Cardinals, making big money, but yeah, it seems when you get a little too comfy, you lose your edge a bit. And it feels like that's happened with Bethesda, where after being acquired and getting that big purchase from Microsoft by Microsoft, things haven't been as smooth sailing for them. And Fallout 5 is still nowhere to be heard or found. No remakes for like Fallout 3 or New Vegas have been announced yet. And this anniversary edition has been kind of a letdown. Starfield apparently just didn't meet expectations, although I've heard people say good things. So it sounds like it does have redeeming qualities and could be mentioned later. But we know about this one. They did announce it's coming to Switch 2 as well. Hasn't come out yet, but as a known quantity, hopefully we do get a release date at the very least and see some footage, of how it's going to look on Switch 2. It should look just fine. It should be on par because it's not like a current gen game. So they should be able to squeeze out most of the original experience on the Switch 2. The next one is The Adventures of Elliot from Philadelphia. I just played the demo for this. It was like a few weeks ago. But yeah, I liked it. I'm not the biggest like classic top-down Zelda fan, even though I have actually come to love, like I loved A Link Between Worlds. I love Cadence of Hyrule. I love the Echoes of Wisdom. Like I don't hate this kind of style game. I actually think I am a really big fan now of these top-down Zeldas. It's interesting to see, a new IP based off of that, old school formula. And yeah, the demo did its job. It convinced me that this thing was not just cool, it's also something to get excited about and look forward to. And we haven't heard of it in any other presentation, I think. I don't even know if it is. Like it should be multi-platform. It's Square Enix, but it got the big reveal on Nintendo's one of Nintendo's previous directs. And yeah, I don't even know if it has a demo on the other platforms, but yeah, it's a pretty big one, and I think it's slated for this year, but we don't know for sure, and it'd be nice to get a release date for this one because it does seem really cool, and I at the very least I'm interested in it. It's pretty cool. Then we have Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This one was also confirmed. Interestingly, it was I think the only Microsoft one that has been confirmed so far, which is interesting because I think a lot of people going into that first partner showcase were expecting it to basically be the Xbox showcase, where it was like they've gone full multi platform, console wars are dead. We're going to see all their stuff announced and coming to Switch 2. And that didn't happen. I don't even think this Indiana Jones one was part of that. It was part of like, I think the Game of the Year awards or the Summer Game Fest thing. Like it was just its own announcement outside of any of Nintendo's official channels for announcing things. And it's apparently like everyone who plays it is either they've gone in as a fan or as someone who is very skeptical and not all that invested in Indiana Jones because honestly, why would you be at this point? Like, it hasn't been relevant for a long time, and the latest movies or movie, whatever it was, apparently wasn't great, but this game is. Like it is. I don't know. I don't know how it ranks amongst even the original movies, but apparently it holds its own and stands shoulder to shoulder with them. And for some people was their game of the year last year or the year it came out. So, yeah, Xbox confirmed that this one is in the works. I don't see why it would be the only one of their titles that have been ported to others and have gone multi-platform that would be in the works for Switch 2, but we know this one for sure, but we just don't know an official date. Just that it was 2026. Hopefully, they haven't faced any major hurdles like Elden Ring and what was it, Borderlands 4 have, and are able to make this into a really, really solid port because I am interested in playing it. I I need my my Uncharted kick. It's been so long. There's not gonna be another Uncharted, but hopefully this can fill that void. Or maybe the new Tomb Raiders as well. Which, holy crap, I forgot about that. That's right. Okay, well, I'll shoehorn that into one of these later segments. We'll see. We'll see. And then along this one of known quantities, we also have a level 5 jam known as Decapolice. And something's going on there. Like something's going on with level 5. They've had a few projects that have been announced for Switch or just overall for video game announcements for a while now that still have not really seen their full release or meaningful updates. I think they had a soccer game that just came out and it for from what I've heard turned out well. I think that was them. Deca Police has been one I've been interested in because of the sci-fi elements of it and the cyberspace stuff and like whatever they're going on doing with the alternate dimension. Apparently it's still just a turn-based. Just, I say that cuz I'm not a big turn-based guy, but if the aesthetic is right, and the setting and all that, I could be convinced to be interested. Like with the demo I just played called Jack Move. It's supposedly a relatively very small indie RPG in terms of playtime because it's like under 10 hours, which is not common for RPGs, but I took to the demo even though it was turn-based because it's all this like cyberpunk stuff. Like it's all sci-fi, heavy sci-fi and cyberspace based and all that. And Deca Police has that. It's also police, it's in the title, so there's like investigations and mysteries and stuff, and I love that. So I've been interested in it since they announced it. Unfortunately, they've been pretty radio silent on it since then, and it's been like a year or two since we've learned of it. So hopefully this project is not dead and we do learn more, including a release date for it and also, a Switch 2 version because it was announced well before the Switch 2 was. So yeah, hopefully we see more of that. But more importantly, from level 5, hopefully we learn more about Professor Layton. I don't think we've gotten a release date. If we do have one, great. I'm not aware of it, but this is one of those. This is in the Metroid Prime 4 like category right now where it's like it's getting a little or I'm getting a little worried. I'm getting a little worried because of, the lack of info, the amount of time that has passed since its initial reveal, and the lack of a release date and just it's a franchise I care about a lot. It's that trilogy and both trilogies are special to me. I love these games. I played them on the DS, as part of that DS time in my life. Very fun. Just I freaking adore the original trilogy and absolutely love the prequel trilogy. So the expectations from me are high and the hype is really high, but it's starting to dampen a bit with what seems like potentially a troubled development cycle. And we saw that with Metroid Prime 4. And it turns out it was, there was reason for there to be worry around their troubled development cycle because it was troubled and some things didn't turn out as well as expected for me at least. I still really enjoyed my time with Prime 4. Really like that game. I don't see it, like, I don't hold it to the same degree, the same pedigree as the original trilogy, though, It's still great to have more Metroid Prime. I'm so glad it's back. Yeah. Because now we have a chance to, see Retro improve on it and make even better Prime games with potentially Prime 5 and maybe a 6. But yeah, Professor Layton, this one we don't even have a release date, and it's a title, a franchise that's synonymous with Nintendo. I don't know if this one is exclusive anymore. I don't mind if it is or isn't. Some people still get so hung up on that stuff. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I want more exclusive Switch 2 games." It's like, why? Just it's not enough to just get the games. They have to be exclusives. It doesn't make sense. It's so weird. But yeah, Professor Layton is a big like Nintendo adjacent franchise. I honestly wish there was more representation for it in Smash. I feel like, that's one of the issues with Sakurai. He does definitely show his biases when it comes to certain franchises, and he doesn't seem to have much of an affinity for visual novels, so there's not a lot of love or reference as much as I would want, to Layton or even Phoenix Wright and the Ace Attorney series in Smash. But there should be because this is a big one. This is a really big one. I hope it turns out great. And I hope, again, like Prime 4, there's a reason to go back to that well. Because as far as, I know the story is complete for both. Well, at least for Layton. Luke was still young in both games. So he has a future. I honestly would have been interested if it was maybe not Professor Layton, but like, the teacher Luke or something. I don't know. Like he took the reins and became the new professor, the new titular character, the ace detective. That would have been cool, but here he's at least a little older. Time has passed. Layton looks exactly the same. Homeboy doesn't raisin. But yeah, I'm just hoping that this game isn't just like, well, let's make a new Layton game versus, again, like Metroid Prime 4. I was hoping it would be an inspired choice, but it seems like an inspired decision based on like a brimming of ideas, right, that needed to come out in the form of a new game. I'm worried that's not the case, but at the very least, it's going to be good to return to that world again. Same with Prime, where it's like, I don't mind more, even if it isn't as good as previous entries. Just give me more and give me a release date. And now the next batch is a pretty small one because it has to do with known quantities, games that are already out or already announced and have release dates, but we don't have demos for them. And I would really like to see them. And the first one is Resident Evil Requiem. They've done preview events. I don't know if there are demos already for this one on other platforms, but apparently it's previewing really well. Like I thought they were targeting 30 frames, but I try not to watch too much cuz I do want to go into this one blind. So I don't really need to know anything. It looks great. It's Resident Evil. I want to go through all the Resident Evils at some point. So I don't really need to see anything. I'm going to play them. But apparently it's 60 frames, which is like if you got a game that's running and looking that premium and that good, and the port is solid, performance is great, show it off. Show it off with the demo and really convince people. Like, I think it will convince people when they play it for themselves and see, God damn, like it would have that effect that Star Wars Outlaws had on me with its demo, where I'm like, I'm not a big Star Wars guy, and Ubisoft keeps getting shit and has a bad name for themselves at this point. So everything they release gets bad mouthed, and it makes you wonder if it's worth them, investing your time and money into any other titles. But then I played the demo for Star Wars Outlaws and was like, one, impressed with the production quality of just like the story and the characters and the voice acting and all that, and what was on display in terms of the environments and stuff. But two, the performance and the visuals. Like, it was like, damn, it really sent home like the Switch 2 being a generational leap from the Switch 1. And I think Resident Evil Requiem is one of those titles, and it's a big one because it is current gen. This is a day and date release, not just for the other platforms like PlayStation, PC, and Xbox, but also on Switch 2. And that's huge. Like, I honestly, going into the Switch 2, I wasn't expecting it to do that. I was expecting it to be the PS4 Pro on the go. Like, and I was okay with that. Some people aren't. They want it to be as powerful as a fucking PS5 Pro, which is, get your head checked, man. Um, but yeah, so it's impressive to see something current gen like this that does look, in every preview I've seen, that looks fantastic. It does look current gen, like something that could not play on the Switch 1 being released day and date on Switch 2. And not only that, but apparently running really well. There's going to be sacrifices here and there with the graphics and all that, but if they're not that great, which we don't know until we get our hands on a demo, but if I think this is the one. Like, I don't think they've done that. Oh no, Resident Evils 5 and 6 have demos on Switch 1. I haven't played them yet, but I think this one shows. It's going to show well because apparently it's been showing well on Switch 2 in previews to major outlets and content creators and things like that. So, go ahead, show it off to everybody. I think it's going to show well, and it's going to do its job to convince people who were on the fence or maybe just didn't even know about Resident Evil, and to check it out and put it on their radar because it is a big release for them. And so is their new IP, Pragmata, which I was surprised as hell that, again, like the current gen stuff like this is being ported to Switch. And apparently I think this one is also day and date with its console brethren, its other current gen console brethren, which are much stronger. And that's crazy, And again, I'm my eyes are wide open versus other people with seemingly these unrealistic expectations of a console like the Switch 2. Like, I'm expecting it to, have visual downgrades and have certain elements of the visual spectrum be toned down or completely turned off. I don't care. I'm willing to make or play games that have those sacrifices made in order to play them portably, right? And to have them all in one place. I know I could get a PC handheld that's much stronger and probably play Pragmata at a visual fidelity closer to the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X or S. But I don't want to. And if it's possible on Switch 2 to make it like run well and still look reasonably good, then I'll take it. It's nice and convenient having everything in one place. And Capcom seems interested in doing that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Capcom was one of the few trusted partners and developers, outside developers, that Nintendo, provided dev kits earlier than most too. I mean, Capcom famously reportedly played a part in the Switch 1, like the hardware, one of the specs of related to it because of Monster Hunter Rise. They were like, we want to make this exclusive or this Monster Hunter game designed just for your system, but we need, like, I forget what it was, like a little bit more of this or that. And Nintendo's like, all right, well, we'll accommodate, you know? So Capcom's a big partner for them. Capcom's arguably the best and biggest publisher out there, you know, according to your taste. That could change, but it's inarguable that they are one of the biggest dogs and have some great franchises, including a known one like Resident Evil, but also this new one that they're trying to push. And who knows if it is going to be just a single game or a full blown franchise. Obviously, if it does really well, they'll probably push to make it a franchise, you know, guaranteed money. But again, this is one, it's like I'm looking at it and I still can't believe something like that would just release day and date on the Switch 2, given its lower power outage or lower power potential. And they're sticking to it. It seems like they want to do that. I'm you know, I'm ready for there to be delays potentially for not Resident Evil because they got a bundle announced already and an amiibo. That would be oof. That would be bad if that happened. That would be bad for Capcom. Like it, you know, they would lose face with Nintendo for sure if they did announce a delay for that one. But Pragmata, I could see there being a delay if they need to make it run properly and continue working on the port a little more. But apparently it's all full steam ahead. They're not doing that, and it's going to be day and date. And again, this one actually really does need a demo because apparently its gameplay is pretty unique, centering around this hacking mechanic. But you know, it's a video game, and I always think getting your hands on it is much better than just videos and does more than tells you more about the game, obviously, than just videos can or photos can. So, yeah, hopefully this game we definitely know about and I think have a firm release date, even has a listing on the eShop already, gets a demo and it gets either shadow dropped here during this after this event or you know announced for a later date. And that's the thing, it's Thursday. So that Thursday in video game land is pretty much the day most games get released or demos get dropped. Like it's video game day, video game release day. So if there is going to be a day where a bunch of demos get dropped or posted on these store listings for these games, it would be today. So it's interesting that they have the direct on this Thursday. I don't know if it's always now. I don't think about it. I don't know if their directs are always on Thursdays, but having this one be on a Thursday, you know, raises the possibilities for me that we at least see one or two demos drop for either known quantities like this one or new quantities that we're going to learn about today. But yeah, we have one more known quantity. That's Chronos, and this one's interesting because this one's already out. It's been out for like months on Switch. But unfortunately, it does not have a demo on the eShop like it does on Steam. So they clearly aren't averse to putting out a demo for this game. I don't know if there's a demo for it on the other console versions, but there is for one again on Steam. And I think demos are a good thing. I think they're objectively a good thing. So yeah, it would be nice if for whatever reason they sneak in here and they get a little bit of a shout out to announce, you know, hey, we've got a demo up on the shop. Because I just seen it with another game called Neon Inferno. When that one first came out on Switch and got listed and stuff, even at launch, it didn't have a demo, but then sometime afterwards, it did. And I played it and now I'm like, oh shoot, this is dope. You know, it convinced me to get it. So I think, you know, if your game presents well and you also just make a good demo, like Nintendo's demo for Donkey Kong Bonanza does not do that game justice. I'm playing the full game now, but I was not enticed to because of that demo. Like it's not good. You know, like you can make a good one, you can make a bad one. I don't know if this one for Chronos based on Steam, you know, users and stuff like that is a good one. But yeah, if you do things right, and of course, if you've made a cool game that has a bunch of redeeming factors and is interesting, then I think it'll show well, right? And it'll convince people that were on the fence or not interested at all to check it out, because the people that have already and were interested already bought it probably. So this is it's probably a good practice maybe to release a demo sometime after launch in order to get the stragglers in on it. But yeah, this is one of the known quantities out there that I could think of that have been announced or already have released but don't have demos yet that I would like to see demos for. That'd be cool. Now here we get to the chonkiest segment of this preview segment, because I am actually going to react to the direct as well afterwards. So, and this is actually we're already at like 30 minutes. It's crazy. I need to stop talking so much. But yeah, now we're getting to the meat and potatoes here, which is ports. And of course, we all have our laundry lists of ports and games we want to see come to our consoles of choice. In this case, it's the Switch 2. And because of the generational leap, I think a lot of these are now valid and not just like fantasy pipe dream type stuff. Like, we definitely can see a lot of these that I've listed here, and I've listed quite a bit. So let's go ahead and get started on these ports, which let me just recenter that real quick. Okay. There we go. All right. So the first one is one I don't actually have much of a personal tie with, but I want to because I've only ever heard good things, and I think it's considered by any and all to be one of the greatest trilogies in video games, and that's the Mass Effect trilogy. I know that, so apparently like one of the games has a controversial ending. I don't know, but I want to find out for myself. And I think, given how old these games are and the platforms, the original generations they were made for, you should get the full experience. Like, it shouldn't be compromised in any way. You should get the greatest and latest versions of these games, which I guess is this Legendary Edition, running perfectly, again, at max 100% capacity on Switch 2. So it'd be nice to see those. I'm also planning to play Control at some point, and I could just play it on PS4. It's actually on their like Game Pass version, their version of Game Pass. So if you just subscribe to that, you actually can just play Control on your PS4 or PS5. I still would prefer to play it portably though, but so this one's not as imperative for me, but it would be cool to see because apparently it's a really cool game, and also it's a Metroidvania. So like, we don't get a lot of 3D Metroidvanias. And yeah, it would just be nice to have and see here. Then the next is just a straight up franchise. Like, I was surprised when I looked into it to see that none of the Dead Space games have made it over to Switch. And there was a recent remake for the first Dead Space game that actually looks really good. But I have played the original Dead Space on PS3, I think. It's a really good game. It's a really good game. I haven't played 2 and 3 though, so why not a trilogy? And it doesn't even have to be the new remake of Dead Space. It could be the original, like, I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is a PS3 generation game. So again, it's like, should we get a compromised version? No, we should definitely be able to play these on Nintendo Switch 2, and they should look the best that they possibly can. Upscale to whatever highest resolution that they've been upscaled to at this point. Yeah, a Dead Space trilogy. And also there was a Dead Space game for Wii. Given that this would be a trilogy or a collection for Switch 2, they could throw that in there, as a nice reference, the Wii game. So, and apparently it's not like, I think it's canon, but it's not like highly esteemed or anything, but it would still be cool to have. So it'd be cool to see that, actually, now I think about it. So a port of the trilogy, all 3 Dead Space games. That'd be cool. Although apparently that remake didn't do great, and they canned any future Dead Space remakes because of it. So yeah, who knows what EA, if they even care about this anymore, and if we'll ever see a collection like on any of the platforms, let alone Switch 2. But yeah, it'd be cool. These are really, really good horror games from what I've heard. I can confirm the first one at the very least. Tons of fun and proper spooky. Then we got Genshin Impact. There was actually, I think Hoyo themselves said they were working on it for Switch 1, and then also said that they're not anymore. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning is. I know that obviously there's a ton of microtransactions, right? And that hasn't stopped other games that have microtransactions from appearing on Switch, but maybe they just aren't happy with, who knows, how Nintendo wants to deal with them or how the cut would work for Nintendo. Um, but this is one of the biggest games on the planet. Genshin Impact still ongoing. And I have played on PS4. I didn't take to the actual gameplay all that much, but I do love the world. Like, I like exploring the places. I think the world looks really nice. And that's on PS4. And again, the Switch 2 is basically a PS4 portable. So it should be able to run Genshin even if it's in its latest iteration. If they've changed engines, I don't know. Upgraded to one that maybe isn't one that would work well on Switch 2, but it's surprising that they haven't, they didn't do it for Switch and are really looking to leave money on the table by not bringing it over to a platform that has been doing well by all accounts, like the Switch 2. It's on other consoles, so why not this one? Then these ones, I'm interested again because apparently they're Metroidvanias. The Jedi, these Jedi games. I don't know if both of them are. I know one of them firmly is, at least. Heard nothing but good things. It would be nice to see them. I know the second one or whatever, or maybe even both, have like performance issues on everything. So yeah, I don't. Maybe they iron them out and get things working, or maybe that makes it so they could never work on a lower powered console like the Switch 2. But yeah, would love to see this. Love to see this. Would love to see that. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one I've heard good things about a bunch. And I actually still haven't played an Assassin's Creed game, which is crazy. Especially since they're on Switch. There have been a few ports to there. But I've heard a lot of good things about this one. And also Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I heard apparently is like too much game. But hey, that sounds like a good problem to me. I've realized that I do enjoy and really, really like Ubisoft's open world efforts. And again, this one actually has ranked pretty high for a lot of people as a really solid Assassin's Creed. And I would love to play it. We've gotten Assassin's Creed Shadows. Apparently, it's kind of compromised to the degree where they didn't put a demo for that one. They did a demo for Star Wars Outlaws because that one does show well. But apparently, in its current form right now, Assassin's Creed Shadows does not. Hopefully, damn, I actually forgot about that. That's right. So, for known quantities demos, hopefully we do see a demo announcement or drop for Assassin's Creed Shadows on Switch 2. Hopefully they've been able to iron out the kinks in any recent updates, and now it's in a place where they're comfortable showing it off because it shows off well. And that would bode well for something like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I think is firmly a last gen game. So yeah, that and Valhalla would be cool to see. Then Death Stranding. Death Stranding 2 is still like a PlayStation exclusive. I think even so, Death Stranding, the property, is Kojima's. It's just sort of a, timed exclusive thing that he's worked out with PlayStation, but we should be seeing Death Stranding 2 on, at the very least, Steam, right? And eventually ports to other platforms. I don't know if that one is a massive leap graphically over this one, but yeah, this is a PS4 game. I played it on PS4, played great. I fully expected if they do port it to Switch 2 to run and look great as well. It was also a 4K game, so maybe not at that fidelity, right? But it's a really cool game. I don't know if I'd replay it, but it's just, I do want others to play it that haven't. That'd be cool. It's just, I want to see Nintendo's newest console actually punching above its weight and actually showing parity with the others, and getting a game like this would just be another one that to show, that it can do that. And it would, again, be cool to have. I probably still would replay it, in anticipation for Death Stranding 2 if that one does. I don't know when it's supposed to get ported or when it will leave PlayStation exclusivity. Hopefully it does at least within a year or a year after, and we see it elsewhere, including the Switch 2 and you can get started on your Death Stranding journey by playing the first one. Oh yeah, speaking of Kojima, this is the big one. Like, and also this one, the Fox engine, man. Oh my god. It makes me so sad that Kojima isn't. I mean, it's great that Kojima left on his own and is doing his own thing because it allowed him to explore and work on, or forced him maybe even to work on something different because he can't make Metal Gear games anymore. But it got him to create Death Stranding, which is a crazy experience. It's a very unique and very weird and something only Kojima could really come up with. But the Fox engine has been left behind. Maybe he was able to recreate it with in everything but name over at his indie studio, his own studio, and that's kind of it. The Death Stranding engine is just like a variation of the Fox engine. But apparently this thing is optimized like to hell and back. Like it's crazy cuz on Steam Deck it runs at 60. And I think it's confirmed at this point like the Switch 2 is almost definitively stronger than a Steam Deck. It could run Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain at like 100%, full glory. This is one of my favorite games of all time. I would definitely replay this one. I've been wanting to, but I want to do so in a portable fashion. And yeah, that would be such a freaking sick ass thing to see it on Switch 2 and play it there. I don't expect any new bells and whistles. I think the holy grail, the true pipe dream, would be if it was not just ported to Switch 2, but also made to be the true definitive edition by having its final act or final few chapters actually made and included in the game. But without Kojima working on them specifically directly, I don't know if I even want them. Like it's still one of my favorite games of all time, even in its current, like pretty much unfinished state. But yeah, if somehow they were able to bury the hatchets and work together, Kojima and Konami, that would be great, just to get the full, final, definitive picture that he wanted to paint of this chapter in the Metal Gear Solid saga. It's unfortunate again that things worked out the way they did. Also, freaking Ground Zeroes is awesome too. So make it the full deluxe edition that has everything. But yeah, that one's, oh my god, I want this one so bad. This one is one I want really bad of all the ones I've just covered so far. This one, yeah, I love Metal Gear Solid 3, also an all-timer. But I'm just not confident that it's gonna get ported because like as Steam Deck, the Switch 2 is stronger from what I've been able to see than the Steam Deck, but it's not a generational leap from the Steam Deck as the Steam Deck itself. And unfortunately, this game does not run well on the Steam Deck. Like, even when you turn the settings all the way down, one, it looks terrible when you do that. It looks horrible. Like, do not play that game at those settings. But even then, the performance is still bad. And even like on PS5, it's kind of like not buttery smooth, which is wild considering the kind of game it is in terms of scope. Like, you don't even have a full open world or anything. It's just these tight zones, these little maps. Like, it's basically level based and linear. So it's surprising that they couldn't get, I think it's just UE5, which explains it all. Like, I don't know how UE5 is still, like, it's not in its final perfect form yet. It's been out for so long and has had such glaring issues. You figure they would have ironed them out by now. Well, maybe they have on the most recent versions, and we'll see that in games coming out in the next couple years or something, smoother, more optimized UE5 games. But yeah, not Metal Gear Solid Delta. Like, I would love it. I would love to see this game on Switch too, but I genuinely do not have any hopes that it's going to make it, especially not anytime soon. Again, given its optimization issues that it has now on stronger hardware. So, yeah, hoping that becomes a thing at some point, not really holding my breath. This is one I'm not passionate about at all, but yeah, it leans into sort of the ports that we did get to Switch, but they weren't full blown native ports. They were cloud games. And for whatever weird reason, the Kingdom Hearts games were cloud based, and it's like again, I don't give two shits about this franchise. Maybe I will though if I got to play them. I don't want to play the cloud versions, so yeah, I would maybe give them a look if we got full native releases on Switch 2. I don't see any reason they couldn't, like it's just effort and the lack of it to do it that they should be able to work. And the same goes for Resident Evil 2 and 3, the remake of these games. And Resident Evil 4. I don't know if I have a picture for that one. I think I do. Yeah. So I don't know how much of a leap 4 is over 2 and 3. I think they're all rocking the same engine. So if they get, I mean, they've gotten 7 and 8 to work, right? But I think those both of them predate 2 and 3. Now I'm not sure about the timeline of their releases. But again, clearly Capcom, they figured some things out. Like their engine, I think they're all like on the Resi engine. Like this is the same engine maybe that Monster Hunter Wilds is even on, and Rise and all that, which is crazy that they managed to get it to, squeeze out that many different kind of games and titles and franchises out of the one engine. But man, yeah, I mean, if Resident Evil 7 and 8 have been able to work, I don't see why they couldn't get 2, 3, and 4, the remakes for those, to get to work on Switch 2. Of course, we haven't seen again, I haven't seen for myself properly, how Resident Evil Requiem, the latest, I mean, come on. Like, their latest game, Resident Evil 9, is coming out on Switch, and apparently, again, by all accounts, is running really well. I guess 60 frames, which I still don't believe. But if it's true, that's amazing. There's no reason Resident Evils 2 and 3, which do have ports to Switch, but they're cloud versions, which I tried, and it's terrible. I don't want to play those versions. Yeah, it'd be cool to see these two. I think they do, like, these are definitely in the pipeline, but they really do want to, emphasize Resident Evil 9, and releasing 7 and 8 on the same day, I still think is a strange strategy. Like they could have released 7 on October of last year, and then maybe 8 like sometime like a month later or two, or maybe even here in like January, to kind of get people prepared and ready for 9 versus people playing all 3 on the same day. Like that's not gonna happen. But like clearly the focus is the road to 9, right? And getting people, like they don't want to crowd the zone too much and have everything come out. But like, yeah, so actually thinking about it, I don't think we see anything about these, because the focus again is on their newest release that's coming out, and the ones that are already confirmed, which are native versions of the previous cloud versions we got of 7 and 8 on Switch 1. They're now getting full-blown native ones. I don't know if we've seen previews or anything for 7 and 8 on Switch 2, but we have seen them for 9, and again, all good. So these are, yeah, they're going to happen. I'll put money on it. They're going to happen, but it's just, it's too much too soon right now for these. And then here we get into, the big dog here, the one that people have been waiting for, which is Xbox. And there's slew of, exclusive, or what used to be exclusive titles from all their freaking studios that they bought, over the last few years. They are now the biggest publisher in gaming, basically. Now, I still don't know if they beat Capcom in terms of just sheer quality, but Xbox definitely has quantity. And one of the quality titles they released was Hi-Fi Rush. And there's a lot of them. Like last year was it last year? It was a really big year for Xbox. What was it? They had Doom. They had a bunch of stuff, right? Like a bunch of stuff lined up and came out, South of Midnight and all that. So any and all of those things, bring them over, Xbox, please. Hopefully they've gotten dev kits finally, and we see Hi-Fi Rush, which by all accounts is amazing. Tons of fun. It looks like a perfect game for, if we want to kind of cater just to Nintendo, that this is the one. Look at the color and all that stuff. But they got a bunch of others. They got Doom the Dark Ages, which look dope as hell. Like I predict once I play that one, it'll be my favorite Doom. Like I love the slower, heavier boomer shooter angle that they're going for here. So I'm very hyped for that. Hopefully it comes out or it gets announced or whatever. Same with Forza Horizon 5. Apparently sold another 5 million copies on PlayStation 5 once it got ported over there. That's crazy. Like nothing against Forza Horizon or anything, but I didn't think that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy to see how going multi-platform resulted in big bucks. It worked. Like they've sold 5 million copies of this. I mean, for a racing game too. Like that's a lot. That's really good. But yeah, going multi-platform has paid off for them, and is obviously was necessary since they didn't have anyone to sell to on their platform. But yeah, it's good to see that apparently what is a masterpiece of a racing open world racing game is getting the love it deserves thanks to being going multi-platform. Hopefully one of those platforms becomes the Switch too. Same with the recently announced Halo campaign evolved. This would, I don't know, there's already, it was massive learning and seeing that Halo was going to PlayStation, right? Like that's big. But all those like Master Chief or Smash fans, it becomes confirmed if he gets one of his games over here on PlayStation or on Switch 2. Halo for Smash is guaranteed. It has to be a thing. Like, and it would be just a trip, seeing it over here from Nintendo Land, like to see Master Chief running around playing a freaking Halo game on a Switch on a Nintendo console. That would be unreal. And it's just all this other stuff they got, Gears of War. Like Xbox is sitting on a treasure trove of stuff they could port, and I hope they don't, it's cool that all their projects came to fruition last year. It feels like they were releasing a lot though. Like it feels like they maybe should have spaced them out a bit more. That's just what I think. It's cool just to, get the games at the end of the day, but they released a lot. So yeah, there's definitely a ton of stuff. I don't know if they again like go ape shit and flood the zone and go like, we're bringing all these to Switch too, and it's just like they're coming out within weeks of each other over the course of like 2 months. Oops, but yeah, Xbox becoming a prominent publisher on Switch 2 is still the dream and what everybody expected and has yet to see come to fruition. Hopefully it does. But now we move on to the hypest ports. Let's go ahead and get that ready. Hypest ports. We already got a little look at one of those, which would be Beautiful Joe, baby. Beautiful Joe. These games are awesome. And one of them is actually like I think a DS game. So getting a full-blown collection for this finally, like we should have seen it on Switch, to be honest. Like GameCube games were running on that. We got Prime Remaster, but that's kind of like a unique case because that's like the best looking Switch game on Retro's super efficient engine. But yeah, basically there's no reason like we couldn't see these on Switch 2. These are GameCube games. Awesome GameCube games. And yeah, it's time we get these games finally ported to other consoles and current gen platforms. I don't think that has been done. I don't even think the originals, just like in their individual forms, have even made it to like Steam or any other shop. So it would be a big deal. It would be a really big deal. I think. Oh my gosh, I'm such a fake ass fan. I don't even know if it's Capcom or Sega. I'm pretty sure this is Capcom. Yeah, they're just sitting on these, man. And I don't know why they haven't done anything for them yet. They're freaking bringing out Mega Man Star Force, before this, which is to me is blasphemous. That's crazy. Nothing against Star Force fans, but like it ain't Beautiful Joe. Beautiful Joe is the shit. And it would again be great to see a collection, especially for that DS game, because even if Nintendo does add Nintendo DS to their online subscription service, it's not guaranteed you'll see third-party stuff like that because we really haven't seen too much of that on any of the different tiers or platforms that they have on there. understandably so, because everybody's all in on this, like releasing the collections and officially making money off of them that way and stuff. The virtual console is dead. Like that was the time to pick up all those titles at different prices. But now we have collections. We should be getting one for this. That would be so awesome. And piggybacking off of the nostalgia, a hype port would be the Jet Set Radio series. Like, I think this is also one where it's like we haven't really seen them come out even on like last gen and of course this gen. Any collection for Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Future or whatever it's called. Um, yeah, after playing Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, like I didn't play these games originally back in the day, but I was aware of them. And again, it's like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk kind of just tapped into a nostalgia, like a subconscious awareness that I had of this culture that it's emulating and encapsulating in these games. And it just resonated so hard. I love Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. And that, of course, is a spiritual successor and homage to the Jet Set Radio games in every way. And I have an extreme interest in playing these, and of course would just love to play them on my console of choice, which right now is the Switch 2. And it's just, I think, for preservation and stuff like that, like get these out there, like already Sega. Oh, I think it is Sega then. Is it Beautiful Joe Sega? I don't know for sure again, but this one definitely is. And they have, talked about Jet Set Radio recently, so this seems a little bit more likely than it ever has been before. And maybe, yeah, today's the day. Maybe today's the day we get an announcement of a collection. That would be the sickest box art too. It's like, look at right here, man. It's Jet Set Radio is one of the most stylish game series ever made, and yeah, just deserves to be loved by a new generation. And the next one, oof, oh man, hype. I mean, like, love Beautiful Joe. These are classic games that I have played originally, so the hype level has a ceiling there. I haven't played these. I would love to. The hype is really high for these. Again, we're in the hypest ports category, but Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, we just got that recent, like, not even a leak, just data mining. That good old fashioned data mining. These freaking data sleuths, these cyber sleuths. Copyright TM for Digimon. They found some interesting stuff in the data, the code, I don't know, for a recent update patch for Monster Hunter Wilds that seemingly references the Switch 2. So, yeah, this one's also in the sort of like, I'm very skeptical if it's even possible, like Metal Gear Solid Delta, because of its very, very public and very well documented performance issues that it's had since launch. Again, the hardcore internet crowd likes to blow up things to astronomical proportions. I think the PS5 version, based on all the reviews and footage I've seen, looks just fine. Like it's mainly the PC crowd that got kind of shafted with the port of Wilds that they got. But again, this one's tough because this is a current gen game. Like, this isn't a PS4 game. This isn't a nostalgic, GameCube game. This is a current gen game that apparently is pushing that RE engine to its absolute limit. Like this and Dragon's Dogma 2, these two big open world type experiences. This one, not exactly fully open world, but these zones are massive, right? And more importantly, full of wildlife, more AI, more NPCs, quote unquote, in the form of small monsters and stuff than previously seen in any other Monster Hunter game. And it's apparently doing a lot of, tracking them all in real time. The big, large monsters are cycling in and out based on like a day-night cycle schedule, which we've seen before, like in Rise, that happens. The monsters will cycle out, but it's apparently at a level and a degree that it's pushing this engine, the same engine Rise is on, to its limit, and it resulted in issues for the game, and performance issues and stuff, apparently across all platforms, but mainly again on PC. But again, we've seen a little glimmer of hope for a Switch 2 port in some data mining that occurred for latest patch, and also the latest patch made like tangible improvements to the game's performance on PC. So clearly they are optimizing and figuring things out and getting it in a better place performance wise. I think even the Steam Deck crowd, I haven't watched too many videos on that, but they're saying it performs better on Steam Deck now too. I, of course, am going in if they do announce it. If it does happen this direct, we do get an announcement for Monster Hunter Wilds on Switch 2. I'm going in clear-eyed knowing that after seeing, the sacrifices that need to be made on Steam Deck to get it running there, that it would not look as good, right? Like it would maybe even look a little soft, like some of the, classics Impossible Switch 1 ports that just look super soft, and some of them shouldn't look that soft, but they do. And yeah, but even then, like I would still play it. Like at the end of the day, I would love it if Monster Hunter Wilds made it to Switch 2. And it's interesting because apparently they have two teams that are always working on Monster Hunter games, and apparently this is, I don't know if you call it A team and B team, because B team over here is the one that made Rise, and Rise is the fucking shit. It's a freaking amazing game, one of my favorites of all time. So it's not like, it's not an insult to go with the A B team, but that's true. That's kind of just how we've done it. So like this is A team apparently that makes the Monster Hunter World, Wilds types of experiences, and then B team makes quote unquote the portable experiences. And of course, we haven't heard from the B team, I think, since Sunbreak for Monster Hunter Rise, which would lead many to believe, unless they've consolidated both of them together now and are just going to have them work on these now current gen, much more demanding Monster Hunter titles, but I don't think they've confirmed that. So if that's the case, or if that's not the case, and we still have two teams making two different sets of games, there is the chance we instead get an announcement for, a sequel type experience to Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak, and a Switch 2 exclusive designed around the hardware and what it can do. That is very much on the table. I actually didn't put that, I should put that. Let me put new announcements. Okay, so we'll just say it here. And now that's on the table. That we, instead of Monster Hunter Wilds getting confirmed as ported, they instead just moved to the new game, a new Switch 2 exclusive Monster Hunter. And that would be cool. I don't know if it'd be too soon considering Monster Hunter Wilds hasn't received what we all know is coming. It's sort of big expansion. They've done this already with the last two. Monster Hunter Wilds got the Iceborne expansion, and Monster Hunter Rise got the Sunbreak expansion. And by all accounts, I mean Sunbreak, I can personally attest to this, is phenomenal. Like they kill it with these expansions. I don't see why they wouldn't do one for Wilds, but if that's still on the table, I would be surprised if they announced. I have to see the timeline for how those things overlapped with Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise, if they waited until Iceborne came out to announce Rise or not, or if there was overlap. So I can't say for sure, but it is on the table now that we, instead of getting a Monster Hunter Wilds port, get an announcement for Monster Hunter, I don't know what you call it. It wouldn't be Rise 2, but it would be in everything but name, right? Another Switch 2 exclusive game that's exclusive for like a year or something and then gets ported everywhere, but is designed primarily for the Switch 2 and thus would perform really well. And I guess, given the generational leap, could expect it to look a little better even. Doesn't need to, honestly. I just care about gameplay, and I think Rise looks great on its own already. The monsters look phenomenal, the detail and stuff. So the main improvements in a Switch 2 exclusive Monster Hunter definitely would probably show themselves in the environments themselves. Like in Wilds, the environments look much, much nicer than in Rise. But honestly, they don't need to. I'd rather they prioritize performance and we get a 60 FPS Monster Hunter experience on Switch 2. I wouldn't foresee that with Wilds. Again, based on performance benchmarks on Steam Deck and other platforms and what we've seen from their different quality and graphics settings, If it does make it to Switch 2, we do get an announcement today about Wilds getting ported. I fully expect it to be a 30 FPS game, like at its best. And visually, it would probably definitely, you know, not hold a candle to the other current gen platforms, but it would be cool to see. The way I see it, you can't have too much. You can't have too much Monster Hunter because this is a genre that is pretty much severely or like not really served at all. There's I know we just got Wild Hearts S. That was a Switch 2 launch window game, and it's a Monster Hunter game. I think it was made by the, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. We'll add that here. Tokiden 2. I've played a little bit. I played the demo for that on PS4. I think it was originally like a portable game, like PlayStation Portable, but it got a PS4 version. That would be dope. Yeah, Tokiden 2. We're talking about Monster Hunter hunting games, hunter genres, whatever it is called, the monster hunting genre. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, if we don't see Monster Hunter Wilds for whatever goddamn reason, we see a port for Tokiden 2. That would be really cool because I liked what I played, a lot of what I played there. Um, Very unique elements not seen in any of the Monster Hunter games that I've played in that one, and very different sort of type of monsters and things like that, and mechanics and systems. It would be an interesting one. It would be, I don't expect it, but it would be pretty cool. But yeah, so something Monster Hunter for sure would be awesome. All right, so yeah, continuing with the hypest ports. Again, Monster Hunter Wilds. Also, I wanted to put this in the demo category, like if it was a known thing, but it's not a known quantity. Still a pipe dream, honestly, I think. I don't think the odds are very high, even with that data mine thing that was discovered. But yeah, hopefully they follow in the same footsteps as either Rise or Wilds. Rise got a full-blown demo. You can still download it. You can still play it. It's what convinced me to play a Monster Hunter game. Rise is my first Monster Hunter game, and it's only because of that demo that lets you just play as much as you want and fight the monsters that were in that demo as much as you want. It, of course, again, like I said, did its job and convinced me to try out a franchise that I had never played before, but learned to love over the course of many hours with that demo, like a lot. But Wilds and World apparently do things differently. They do network tests. So yeah, not only would it be a fucking amazing if they announced that they were working on a port of Monster Hunter Wilds, but also that it was coming out relatively soon, like within 2 or 3 months of this announcement, and also a network test would be announced, and you can try it there and maybe even do some cross platform hunts with others. I don't know if that's a thing even. I think it is. Yeah, it is. Do some cross platform playing with other people that already have it. Just expand the pool, right, of hunters and stuff. Inject a little bit more life into the arm of this game because apparently there's been a bit of a fall off that they didn't expect. So yeah, I think there is a lot of sound reasoning behind porting it to Switch 2 beyond just making a bunch more money, right? Like it bolsters the game and keeps it alive a little bit longer. And moving on from Capcom to the next hype port, it's Silent Hill. Like, oh man, I don't think Silent Hill has ever really been a thing like associated with Nintendo. I know they've released games since Silent Hill 3, and I think one of them was a Wii game, or like they have had a presence, this franchise, on Nintendo hardware, but definitely the Switch generation, we didn't really see anything. We, of course, didn't get the port for or the remake of Silent Hill 2 on there, and it's understandable. Apparently, that game also has some or had some performance issues, even on the platforms it was designed for. But yeah, Silent Hill F, this, it's a kind of it's a more linear experience that I think bodes well for a system like the Switch 2. We're not talking about a big open world Dragon's Dogma type thing with all this AI elements and stuff to consider, NPCs and all that. Like it's a little bit more streamlined, which I think increases the odds of it running better. And also because it runs really well. It runs pretty well on Steam Deck. So I've seen, videos and stuff where they've got it running at a very stable 30 without really sacrificing too much of the visual makeup of the game. So I think this one is actually very feasible. And with how gung ho, or how strong they are, and how strong they're feeling about Silent Hill. Like they just released a movie, which is crazy. Like I don't think that had any runway whatsoever. It just kind of felt like it just dropped out of nowhere. Return to Silent Hill, I think is the name of it. They're going heavy. They also announced plans to like release a new Silent Hill game every year, which does not seem sound. Like that does not seem like a very smart decision and design or roadmap for Silent Hill to go with, or any video game franchise. Honestly, I know Pokemon does that. They do it to great success. They release something Pokemon related every year, but it's not always another generation, right? Like I said, distance makes a heart grow fonder. I've discussed before that Nintendo, they are comfortable putting a lot of space between entries and franchises because it just builds up the hype, right? So Konami seemingly internally, I don't know if it was even an official announcement or some kind of like shareholder leak or something like that, that they want to annualize Silent Hill entries. I see that only spelling doom. But basically, all that is to say that they are very committed to this property again. They want it to flourish. This Silent Hill F isn't like a one-off, and clearly it only came about, or really was planned, because of their interest in bringing it back right after Silent Hill 2, the remake for that. I don't know how the development cycles overlapped. I don't know if it was like, oh, Silent Hill 2 dropped, it did really well because it's Silent Hill 2, a remake of one of the greatest horror games, and they were just like, okay, develop a new game. Like, I don't know if it was like they had an initiative planned already and Silent Hill F was in development during Silent Hill 2's development, the remake, but yeah, they are committed to it again. And I firmly believe that at some point, Silent Hill F is going to make its way to Switch 2, not just because they want it to, but because they can. Because again, on Steam Deck, it actually runs fairly well. And again, Switch 2 is a somewhat slightly stronger Steam Deck. So I don't see how this game couldn't run and why they wouldn't want to port it. And that would be hype as hell because I do have an interest. I do have a great interest in the Silent Hill series, even though I haven't familiarized myself with all of it. But I have gotten very interested along with everybody else. And because, we're on that Silent Hill train, let's stay on it and go with Silent Hill 2 remake. Why not? Like, why not? And I don't know what the ordering of things would be if they do decide to bring Silent Hill to Switch 2. I don't know if, yeah, like, I don't know if they would just completely leapfrog Silent Hill 2 and not ever port it and just go with Silent Hill F instead. Obviously, though, Silent Hill 2 is one of those experiences that everybody should play, from what I've heard. And probably I believe that as well because I have played Silent Hill 1, the original. It is a masterpiece. I freaking love that game. It's one of my favorite games of all time now. I am hyped as hell to play 2. I want to play the original. We'll get into that more. But yeah, in terms of hype, these would be part of the hypest announcements for me if either Silent Hill 2 remake or Silent Hill F got announced as being ported to Switch 2. Along with Silent Hill 1. They are remaking it along with, I think, Bloober Team, who did Silent Hill 2 remake as well, right? And by all accounts, a fantastic remake. It looks fantastic. Again, apparently there were some performance issues. Maybe those got ironed out, and Bloober Team has now optimized the engine that they used or are using for their games along with these remakes of Silent Hill. Again, this one is sitting at number 1 in terms of hypest ports for me because I effing love the original game so goddamn much. Yeah, what else is there to say? It's I consider it a masterpiece. It is the horror game for me to beat. I'm very much at the first step, the very beginning of my horror game journey. Silent Hill was a hell of a place to start at though, because now the bar is like in freaking space. Like I don't like I totally foresee Silent Hill, the PS1 game, still being my favorite horror game even after going through the breadth of horror games I plan to go through, including Silent Hill 2. Like the bar is so high. It wasn't like, "Oh yeah, cool, cool proof of concept. I think Silent Hill 2 is going to improve and do much better." Like no, I don't. It's the opposite where I'm like, "I don't know how you beat it, bro. I don't know how you beat it." It's I love this game so much. And I this announcement came before I played it, so it didn't really mean much to me other than cool, more Silent Hill. But now it's like, oh, this is huge. And now it's a big deal to me. So it would be weird to learn more about Silent Hill, this remake, honestly, here in this direct. So I don't expect this at all to happen. But if it did and they were like, and it's coming to Switch too, oof, that'd be great. Maybe along with an announcement of either Silent Hill 2 remake getting ported or Silent Hill F. They announce also Silent Hill is in development for Switch 2 as well. Oh baby. I mean, because this is Bloober Team. They made Chronos the New Dawn. So they have already made a game or ported a game to Switch 2. So they are familiar with the hardware. Yeah, they clearly have an idea of what to do, what they can do with it, and maybe are already working on ports for these other ones as well, and maybe even are already assimilated those Switch 2 dev kits into their Silent Hill development so that that one's even more well optimized and maybe releases day and date with the other platforms. But we don't really know much about this other than this. It's just the title, but this isn't Metro Prime 4. Like this isn't like, oh, it's going to be like 8 years from now we'll see it again. Like no, they've clearly got the ball rolling. They've remake 2 was for the most part a success. Even the faithful fans are like, no, yeah, it's great. It's great. So Silent Hill, this one, the development, it's going to take time, obviously, but I don't foresee them hitting any major obstacles or hurdles that sort of impede development or like spiral it into development hell. I mean, other than Silent Hell, the intended place we're supposed to go. But yeah, Silent Hill getting a presence on Switch 2 would be the hypest thing out of all the announcements here. But also these other ones are great. So like yeah, Monster Hunter getting some sort of new representation on Switch 2 would be great. Whether it's a new game, that'd be crazy. Or Monster Hunter Wilds, that'd still be crazy because I enjoyed my short time that I played with it. Jet Set Radio finally getting some love, a proper collection would be great, making it to current platforms. And the Beautiful Joe series, just one that's near and dear to my heart. Seeing that collection come out would be great too. But now we get into what are basically would be new announcements for the Switch. So obviously those ports would be pretty cool. Like Silent Hill 1 has not been confirmed, all that stuff. So technically those would be new announcements, but they are like pre-existing quantities, that Silent Hill F is out, Silent Hill 2 is out, same with Monster Hunter Wilds. So those are still technically like they sit as ports to me. Silent Hill 1 remake I guess would be a new announcement. But yeah, let's go into what I consider to be new announcements, things we haven't really learned anything about and currently don't have any significant shape or form. And one of the first ones is Call of Duty. Xbox, as part of the acquisition of Activision and anyone else, and part of that, I think Blizzard, right? Activision Blizzard. They said they were committed to releasing Call of Duty on, or would need to, I think, as whatever their promise to be multi-platform or continue to keep these multi-platform games multi-platform, would release Call of Duty games on Nintendo's hardware. At the time, the Switch 2 hadn't been announced even, I think, or wasn't formally out. But now it is. We still haven't gotten Call of Duty. So it's all but guaranteed we're going to see a Call of Duty on Switch 2 this year. I think they've confirmed they're working on it, but they still haven't actually announced which Call of Duty. And there's always, 2, 3 Call of Duty irons in the fire. They got the A and B team thing going on, right? They alternate releasing a new game every other year for each team, which results in a new game each year. But now they also have the Warzone stuff, right? So they got their Fortnite-esque game, which is this ongoing multiplayer live service thing. It could be that. It could be a brand new game, or it could be like a Switch 2 version. Like we saw sort of with the Wii and like the DS, like Call of Duty games made exclusively and designed explicitly for Nintendo hardware and their various gimmicks or limitations. I don't think we see that. I think that possibility is like slim to none, that we get like Call of Duty and it's just a completely unknown thing that's exclusive to Switch 2, right? Its own unique thing. It's way more likely we just get a port of one of the most recent Call of Duties. Hopefully it's a recent one, like it's not like one of these like 3 or 4 year old Call of Duties with dead servers and all that. But I think the most likely one is this one, Warzone, because apparently they got it working on, mobile phones and things like that. So yeah, it's about time we learn what the hell this franchise is going to look like on Switch 2 and when we're going to finally see it, because they think they're legally obligated to provide Call of Duty to Nintendo Switch players. So hopefully we learn what exactly that means in this direct. The next one is an interesting one because it comes from a Nintendo party, like second party studio, which is Game Freak. See right there, 2026 Game Freak Inc. developed by Game Freak. They are, of course, the people that also the studio that develops a lot of the Pokemon games, which of course do not look like this. So like this came out of completely out of left field. I know that they've made other games that weren't Pokemon in the past. I forgot that Pocket Card Jockey was one of theirs. But also they made this small town game or something like that, Small Village. And yeah, so they've definitely branched out and made things other than that, but this is the first of its kind where it looks like something Game Freak could never make because they like Pokemon 3D Pokemon games in the Switch generation look terrible. Like they don't look anything like this. So this just really came out of nowhere and I still can't believe this is just a Game Freak game. It doesn't look like it's co-developed with anybody either. So it's wild that they're making something of this caliber, this sort of, like UE5 engine looking thing. And it hasn't been stated to be a Switch 2 game yet. You see right here, this is official image, I guess, from Xbox, one of their presentations. It shows, no, maybe not Xbox, but it shows, look at Game Pass, Xbox Cloud, Steam, PS5, like it's full multi-platform. But still hasn't been formally announced for Switch 2. Maybe, Game Freak is close with Nintendo, right? Maybe they're like, hey, save the fact that it's coming to Switch 2 for one of our directs, right? One of our videos to hype it up and make a splash there. This is one that I'm not convinced that it could run well on Switch 2 given how it looks. But again, we've seen, some current gen stuff make it to Switch 2, so it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I'm not really holding my breath. But yeah, this would be part of the new announcements because it's a game that hasn't even come out yet, right? So another day and date new current gen game making its way to Switch 2, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Not as cool as this. The sequel to Okami, which is the funniest thing because like thinking about it, I was like, oh yeah, they already made a sequel. It's called Okami Den. And yeah, I haven't played it. It's on the DS. I really should. But apparently it's not a must play and it's not truly like a full it doesn't carry the same weight that a full-blown sequel would. And honestly, this is one that I was a little skeptical of too because again, it's kind of like I haven't replayed it, but I remember the story being pretty conclusive. Like I didn't see where like a second game could come into play. But I mean, fuck, Okami's an all-timer for me too. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I love that game. It's of course held up beautifully over the years because of its iconic and unique art style. that has just aged so gracefully. And yeah, one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. This is one we have literally seen like next to nothing of. At least we got more than a logo, right? We got like that CGI pre-rendered video of Amaterasu just running through a field and leaving a trail of flowers as she does. And it's gonna be a new, not just a new Okami, a current gen Okami. And yeah, it would be amazing. It would be so amazing if we got more info and footage about this game through this partner direct. That'd be a huge get. That'd be so huge. But yeah, that's a potential one that we'd see, along with another one that we got just glimmers of, little hints of, which is the new Jet Set Radio, which again, I'm not actually even sure if it's a new Jet Set Radio or if it's a remake. Like, I don't think Sega ever officially like confirmed exactly what this is, but it's new. Look at it. Like, this isn't, it's also, ooh, yeah, in terms of style, the world, it's the characters, I like the cell shading, that looks good. But this background right here, it's not like on the same stylistic level as the original games, of course, with the world itself also being cell shaded, but also like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, like the whole game, like it's not just the characters that are stylized, it's the world too. I hope they're not abandoning that, but it kind of looks like that here, where the world looks a little bit more realistic, but the characters look phenomenal. And I mean, it's Jet Set. Hopefully they're bringing it back with a vengeance, but we haven't really seen anything about these new Sega initiatives, resurfacing these old franchises with new entries, and Jet Set was one of them. This one's on my radar though. This one is very high up, and yeah, learning anything about the new Jet Set game here would be learning something new about it for the first time in a while. So that would be really hype. Yeah, I hope we do get some new info finally on this new Jet Set Radio game here in this partner direct. But man, but man. Yeah, I've mentioned before, I- I'm not a big first person shooter guy, but for whatever reason, Wolfenstein has taken my heart. Like, I love those two games. I maybe it's the Nazi and killing Nazis or punching Nazis angle, but I think they're phenomenal. They also, yeah, they incorporate stealth, and the world building is, obviously it's a dark timeline thing, but it's such an interesting setup and all that. Like, I adore these games. I find it straight up mind-boggling that we still haven't seen the end of this story, or at least the next chapter in it, in the form of Wolfenstein 3. Like, goddamn, dude, like, what are we waiting for? You're sitting on a freaking, like, guaranteed hit. Like, I think I'd be surprised if this series hasn't been like a positive, like, high seller, man, because these games are awesome. And coming out in this climate at this time, I think it's more important than ever. Like, we need the new Wolfenstein game. Um, but man, that would be something if like we learned about Wolfenstein 3 here in this game, or just that it exists at all. We get the damn logo treatment or whatever, some pre-rendered cutscene, no actual gameplay. But this game needs to come out, man. Like, let's go. Like, it's been long enough. And 2 came to Switch 1. Like, Panic Button did great work there. They did what they could with what little they had, right? Like, it's a soft looking game. I haven't booted it up on Switch 2, but if they announce, Wolfenstein 3 here and that it's real, that would be massive. That would be so massive. Also, that wouldn't happen actually, right? Because it's Xbox that owns id, and like Bethesda Works and all that stuff, and I'm pretty sure this is all under their purview. So that, yeah, never mind. That the chances of this game getting announced here are slim to none. But we need to see this. Like, I'm just saying this now. We need to see a new Wolfenstein before the next gen consoles release. And we got some good news in that they're potentially delaying them. Like, please? Like, people still feel like the PS5, Xbox Series X generations never really took off. We don't need a better hardware anymore, man. We're at a good place. Um, make Wolfenstein 3 for this current gen series of consoles. Like, please, please, we need another entry. We need to see the end to BJ's story here. I don't actually know. Like, I haven't played Youngbloods. I don't think that one's on Switch. If it is, I'm gonna have to pick it up and try it. I don't know how much of the story it goes into, but it's, it doesn't bode well for the fate of that world because it stars BJ's children, which I don't know who the hell he had children with. I haven't played 2 in a while, so I don't know who his romantic interest would have been or who it would have been before. But yeah, we just need to see. Like, we just need a new Wolfenstein 3, okay? Like, I don't know. I don't know if it'd be the end of the series or just another step towards the end, but we got to make it. We got to make it. It's time. It's been long enough. And even as hype as this would be, and goddamn, these are all actually pretty sick things. I think this one has a better chance. Like, this is a pretty good chance of seeing that. I don't know. It's been a year, right, since Okami's announcement at the Game Awards 2024, I think. So it might still be too soon to see anything about this, but it'd be great. It'd be so hype. Um, Beast of Reincarnation. That'd be interesting just because, again, Game Freak, hand in glove partner of Nintendo. It'd be interesting if they released the big new game like this and didn't release it on Switch too. Call of Duty, we just need to see that. I'm down for a new Call of Duty. I haven't played Call of Duty in years, like 10 plus years. Like, it's been a long time since I played a Call of Duty. I think I'm good for one. I'm due. But man, like I mentioned, I didn't gush about Silent Hill, the series, as much as I wanted to during the last segment about the hypest ports for the new remakes. But I am hyped. Like, I am very disappointed that we don't have a collection of the original games. The original, like, I don't know if I think like the first 4 games at least were developed by Team Silent or something like that. I forget what the studio name is called. So they're held up to high regard and apparently are all great. I don't know. Like, again, I haven't played all of them, so I don't know if you need all 4 in a in a collection or just the first 3. But goddamn, like, I don't like that I had to emulate Silent Hill 1 to play it. That shouldn't be the case. Like, I know that they're working on remakes and all that, and they want people to pay money and focus on those. But these games, they deserve to be preserved and presented to new generations via in the form of proper collections, right? For current gen consoles. I think there's an HD collection for these original titles on PS3. But brother, what like, bring onto the newest consoles. Like, it would be so cool if I honestly, I'm hyped. I'm very interested in Silent Hill F and the remakes of 2 and 1. But after playing the original, I don't see how, like, I wouldn't love 2 and 3 as well. Like, I fuck with the tank controls. Like, I got used to them, right? You do have to get used to them because they're so unconventional and so archaic now. But once you do, like, they killed it. They killed it, and apparently Silent Hill 2, the original, holds up. And stood as long as it did as one of the all-time greats for a reason, because it is. I think these original games in the form of a collection, the original ass, PS1, PS2 games would be great, would be met with a lot of love and excitement. This right here, if we got this announcement of a classic Silent Hill collection instead of announcements or promises of those remakes making it to Switch 2, that would be a bigger deal to me. I want Silent Hill 1 to be on current platforms, and especially, of course, on Switch 2. This is just something I want to exist, even if I don't get to have it because it's a collection, like a collection that's exclusive to, like, PlayStation and Steam or something. I'd be okay with it. I just want them to again be preserved and presented to a new generation in this form, because you can't even on Steam. Like, they never posted, I think, any of the original titles. I think 4 is on GOG. maybe on Steam, and that's the original version of that, of course. But otherwise, yeah, you can't really and readily play these games easily. And that's my guy right there, man. That he's the protagonist for Silent Hill 1, Harry Mason. Oh my god, my boy. Like please. Like that would be so freaking sick. That would be a brand new announcement again along with like Jet Set, seeing more of that, the Okami game, which we basically know nothing of. Wolfenstein 3, but this one takes the cake. Like this one, I guess along with Monster Hunter Wilds to me and Jet Beautiful Joe and the Jet Set collections, these sit at the very top of sort of what I would straight up lose my shit if I saw in this direct. Those are the ones for sure. Yeah. So of all these ports and um demos and announcements and release dates and all that, it's like Professor Layton, Silent Hill, a classic collection, Monster Hunter Wilds, that getting confirmed, or of course a straight up new Monster Hunter game for Switch 2, which I don't know if they flood the zone again like that. Actually, now that I think about it, they kind of want people to focus on Stories 3. So, seeing any big Monster Hunter news that's not Monster Hunter Stories, we might actually see that more than anything. Just more footage of that and stuff, which we can have both, but I don't think they want to again like oversaturate and kind of muddy the messaging and get people less hyped about stories because of a different Monster Hunter game. So, yeah, I think even if there is still a very good chance Wilds comes to Switch 2, we don't learn about it here. We instead see a little bit more of Stories 3. But yeah, I think those are my big ones. Professor Layton, more info including a release date, a collection of the Beautiful Joe games, a collection of the Jet Set Radio games, and or more info slash anything about Okami 2, Okami whatever they name it, the new Jet Set Radio game, and Silent Hill. Just any Silent Hill on Switch 2, but ideally these classic games. I would just, oh man, that would be insane. That would be so awesome. Yeah, like I can't. Like I said, I've actually been a fan of Silent Hill from afar before I played, like even before I played Silent Hill 1 because I've been listening to the soundtracks for years. So that's sort of where my interest in the series stemmed from. It stemmed from the music, listening to it for like years now. At least the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack was the first one that I really globbed to like a while back, but then I checked out the other ones as well and I just fell in love with the atmosphere and the vibe of these games I hadn't even played, but just was imagining what those experiences would be like through the music. So the bar was actually really high when I finally did boot up Silent Hill 1 and delve into that world, of Silent Hill because of the music and how much I loved all the soundtracks. And it exceeded it. Like Silent Hill 1 exceeded my high, lofty expectations of what a Silent Hill experience could deliver and could be. I am so excited to play the rest of the games. I want to play the originals too first. I want to play Silent Hill 2, the original version, the PS2, Silent Hill 3. Like I don't want to go straight to the remakes yet. So that's why the classic collection, if that was a thing, that would be the biggest one for me because it's something I want to do already and I want to do that on current gen consoles on the Switch too. And again, I just want to see that for the franchise overall and these titles, which I think for a lot of people, they hold a special place. Like Silent Hill, those games still stand as some of the greatest horror games of all time. They're influential. And I know the remake thing is so hot and sexy right now, and we just want to see all of our classic titles be reimagined and updated for current sensibilities. But after replaying Silent Hill 1, again, I bang with tank controls now, at least how they do them in their games. Like I could do a full Silent Hill review. I probably should. But yeah, this collection would be the one, man. That would be the craziest announcement to me. The most, I think it would be out of left field too. It would be crazy to see it, but man, if they did it, oh, that would be so cool. I just hope it gets done at some point, honestly. Doesn't need to happen here. Could be in a state of play or some Xbox thing or the Game Awards this year. Just please bring these games to the current audiences on their current platforms because they're special. They need to be there. We need to see my boy Harry Mason. This is saying Silent Hill Memories. I haven't played that. I don't know if that's I I mean if he's in it, I mean, probably should, but I've heard that one or read in some reviews that one's not like too great, but I I I do intend to play a majority of the series or at least the original 4 games. I've heard nothing but praise for those. And then we'll finally end off with Switch 2 editions. So the original Switch got a few impossible ports. Hold on a sec. And even though it was cool to see these ports, they haven't aged well. Like they were the games running at low settings, just trying to do everything they can, cut this and that here and there to get them running on the extremely low powered hardware of the Switch 1. And that includes titles like Doom, which I did play. I think, was it for the first time on Switch? I don't know. I don't want to say that. I think I played it elsewhere for the first time, but I did get it on Switch. And they did a great job with Doom and Doom Eternal by all accounts. But, we have Switch 2 editions now, and we have a stronger console that is backwards compatible with the Switch library. So it would be nice to see like patches and updates, official Switch 2 editions for classics and bona fide bangers like Doom and Doom Eternal. And more importantly to me, Sonic Frontiers. Like, I played this one on PS4, and I'm glad I did because waiting for it or playing it on Switch would have not been the way, man. Like, I've only played the demo. Unfortunately, there still isn't a Switch 2 edition, but we need it because that demo is brutal. Like, I mean, performance-wise, it actually holds its own. I don't even think on PS4 it's 60. I'd have to go back and check, but it's smooth enough, whatever it is, 30, 60. It looks like this. Like, this is how it's supposed to look. It does not look like this on Switch 1. And this is, I'd have to go back and play a lot of the other classic titles in this 3D Sonic, series. Sonic Adventure 2 is still not just my favorite Sonic game, but one of my favorite games of all time because it's just the nostalgia and it was such a big deal to me and it was my really big first foray into the Sonic, ecosphere. But I love this game. I love this game so much, and I just want people who do pick it up on Switch to play it properly, which is with the more, PS4 current gen-ish versions of it, because PS4 is not current gen, but this is how it's supposed to look and this is how you should experience it. And it's unfortunate that as of now still you can't experience it in this way. It makes sense. We're really in still like we're not even through the first year of the Switch 2, right? Like it's early days, and Sega already has come out in support with like Switch 2 editions of others, like what Sonic Racing Cross Worlds just got that update. They had Sonic and Shadow Generations ready to go. Like there's still like, this isn't like, oh, it's year 3 and we still haven't seen some of these things. Like there's plenty of time, right? And there's no like alarms going off yet for not having seen any of these things that I've mentioned before. But yeah, this is just, predictions thing. It'd be nice if now they've cleared the deck, they've gotten Cross Worlds. I think it's getting its physical still coming out soon. But otherwise for Sonic, there's nothing major on the horizon, I think, for Switch 2. So announcing an update like this, a Switch 2 edition update for Sonic Frontiers, which has already been ported to Switch 1, to give it the graphical presentation and performance it deserves and can have on this hardware, would be great. Again, I love this game. I would totally replay it. I would totally replay it on Switch 2, especially it would have all the DLC all ready to go and stuff, and that box art would be updated. We'd probably get a new Switch 2 edition box and everything. That'd be awesome. I didn't include a picture. I just thought I forgot about it while I was making the list and stuff. But also in the vein of Switch 2 editions, along with Frontiers, which is my number one. You know, I think the Doom games get a boost slightly in terms of just performance. They're less stuttery or whatever. They're a little smoother. Sonic Frontiers needs a full blown overhaul though. Like it needs a full blown facelift. Like it would have to be a full straight up Switch 2 edition thing. The Doom ones, yeah, they would be additions too, because the graphics would really benefit from being a lot sharper. But again, those ports are actually really good. They're really good. Sonic Frontiers, no. Like they got it running, but it looks like shit. It just looks terrible. It's surprising. It's like the DS version of Sonic Frontiers. It's crazy how much they were able to trim it down and take away. I didn't think you could take away that much from a game because it looks nothing like this. It looks nothing like the PS4 version, but it should now on Switch 2. And the same goes for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. That one actually has seen boosts in terms of the load times on Switch 2. It's like night and day. The load times are crazy fast compared to on Switch 1. Like maybe it's because my SD card, that the game is saved onto is dying, which I think it is. It's pretty bad on Switch 1. But man, the load times alone are such a nice benefit and boost on Switch 2. But we've seen after Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak got ported to other consoles, including PC, that it got a boost in fidelity a bit. And also, more importantly, in frame rate. That game runs at 60 frames on Steam Deck. And again, like I mentioned before, Switch 2 is a more powerful Steam Deck even. There's no reason that we can't have a 60 FPS Monster Hunter that's running at a higher resolution in handheld mode. Because it does look a little bit softer. It's not as bad as some people are making it out to be. It still looks perfectly great. Looks the same, of course, in docked mode, but in handheld mode, it still holds up. It looks good, but it could definitely look better. Like it could look sharper. You can tell it's a little softer than it is on Switch 1 because it's not even really upscaling. It's just like the 720 or 540p image on a 1080p screen. So yeah, there's definitely improvements that could be made to the actual visual fidelity, but more importantly, that frame rate, along with maybe even faster load times with a fully optimized Switch 2 edition for Sunbreak. Oh, that'd be great. But yeah, in general, any third-party games, including Nintendo's first-party stuff, but that's not what we're gonna see here. So like third-party stuff like Doom and Sega and all that stuff, things that have released on Switch 1 that definitely could use and would benefit greatly from a Switch 2 edition upgrade or patch. Hopefully we see some more of that. That'd be cool too. I know that's not the most exciting stuff because it's for pre-existing things you can play anyways on your Switch 2 without these patches, but it'd be cool to see. But not as cool as the Silent Hill Classic Collection. Like, just to end it all up, like to round it all up there, that's the one for me. If that happened, my lord, like I don't know. Like what I would do it myself. I will freak out, maybe faint, who knows. But yeah, that does it for the preview thing. I think I'm just gonna separate these two. This thing's already running an hour and 48. Fuck, man. God damn it. That went way longer than expected. Yeah, this will be a separate video. I'm just gonna cut it. But yeah, that's all the potential, things we could learn from this direct. It's only 30 minutes is pretty long, I think. Honestly, you could cover a lot of ground. Not all this. Not all this ground. There's a lot. Like even if it was just the Xbox stuff, that alone would be like 15-20 minutes of like titles and things like that. So yeah, how much of this list of things do we actually see? Oh boy, like I don't know, but hopefully we see at least one of my, the hype things that I mentioned before, my most, obviously the things I want the most, I want to see the most, that'd be great. But any of these things mentioned would be pretty cool, and again, are all feasible because of the massive leap in generational power from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2, which has just impressed me at every turn with what it can do. It's really great. So yeah, the sky's the limit when it comes to this partner direct and what we can see. I foresee it being objectively better than the last partner direct we got after the Switch 2 launch. So I'm excited. Let's get into it. Let's watch it.